Bible reading number 388. We're in Mark the 13th chapter and verse number 14. We're also in Matthew 24, 1 through 5. We're in Daniel 9:27, Daniel 11:31, Daniel 12 and 11. So we're all over the Bible right now. But we're going to read here. Let me just read this one verse, and I don't know how far we'll get today. Hotan de edete to de lema tes ere mosiu este kota hopu ude ho anagenoskon noete tote hoi ante udea friget toson esto ore. When, moreover when, that little weak adversed conjunction there, page 85 in the Analytical Greek lesson, and when, that's a little conjunctive adverb there, and it comes from hote and on, ye may see the abomination. That's not in the singular neuter. That means a stinking thing, something that stinks, the thinking thong, a stinking shoe. Of the desolation or devastation comes from eremos. That means to make desolate and a desert. Having stood and standing. That is a nominative, plural, neuter, or noun and neuter, perfect participle passive, or active, that is, having stood, where, upo, a little adverb of place, not, it is bindingly necessary, the one reading, that's nominative, singular, masculine, present participle active. The one reading, let him understand, third person singular, present imperative active, then, at that time, a little adverb of time, page 407, the ones in the Judea, in te Judea, in preposition, te Judea, that's locative singular now, they flee. It says, they flee. That's an imperative, that's a command. They flee, third person plural present, imperative active, unto este odere. Este odere. The word for mountains there in Hebrew is hor. But let them flee into the mountains. A lot of people think this could possibly be Petra and that area there, that fortress city. Now let's go into some other places in the Bible. And Matthew also, let's see if I got it. Matthew, the first chapter, or the 24th chapter, that is. Matthew 24. Jesus left the temple area and was going on his way when his disciples came to him and called attention to the magnificent massive buildings of the temple. Mark 13 and Luke 21, 5 through 36. And he said to them, do you not see these things? I assure you and most solemnly say to you that will not one stone will be left upon another which will not be torn down. This is eschatology. This is talking about the end times. While Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, now his disciples came to him privately and said, tell us when the destruction of the temple will take place, and what will the sign of your coming, and the end, completion, and consummation of the age. Now, they didn't understand there's different periods of times here. Jesus came here as a fulfillment of all, Galatians 4 and 4. He proved he was the Messiah during his 3.5-year ministry. He died on the cross of Calvary. He was buried, and he rose again. The church age started during his ministry there when he called out his disciples in seashores of Galilee, and so that's another dispensation in all reality. All down through the church ages, we have seen how Satan tried to stop God's churches. At the end of the church age will be the rapture. 1 Thessalonians 4:16 and 17. The rapture. The word rapture in the Bible is there. It is catching away, rapture, rapture. The rapture will take place during the tribulation period now. We're talking about these things take place here during the tribulation period. Now, over here, be careful that no one misleads you. The destruction of the temple will take place and will be the sign of your coming and the end, the consummation of the age. And Jesus said, be careful that no one misleads you, deceiving you and leading you into error. For many will come in my name, misusing and appropriating the strength of my name, which belongs to me, saying, I am Christ, the Messiah, anointed one, and they will mislead many. That's going to happen. Now, the Abomination Desolation. The Abomination Desolation doesn't take place here, doesn't take place back in the Old Testament, except when Antiochus Epiphanes offered a hog on the altar in Jerusalem. That's past tense, that's history now. In the tribulation period will last 7 years. The rapture that's going to take place here, 1 Thessalonians 4:16 and 17, and this is during that period of time, God will have a wedding feast with his bride, and there will be a lot of guests at that wedding, and that takes place in heaven. On the earth, a tribulation period is taking place. There's going to be a mastermind of a, what we might call a deceiver, a master deceiver, that's going to come upon the earth. The earth will be in absolutely horrible condition. There will be wars all over the place. There will be murder, chaos, and the world is going to look to a leader. Now, there are many different ideas of who this is. I wrote my doctor's thesis in 1980, and I drew maps and everything else. It's here someplace. Here it is, right here. This is it, the book of Revelation. It was an interlinear, and there it is, typed up. I have it typed up someplace. Anyway, there are different charts in here. Revelation 9 and 1, all different kinds of things. I wrote, this is probably close to 100,000 words altogether in here. But that I wrote in 1980. I have vacillated on the events of the world since then. That was, that's a long time ago. That's 24 years ago. There's a lot of things happened in 24 years. We're going to go to the book of Daniel also. It says, the one reading, let him understand what's going to happen. The whole purpose of the tribulation period is to bring Israel back to God. Israel has been set aside. We talked about Israel being condemned, left behind for a period of time. Ezekiel 36:16 through 19 says that Israel will be dispersed, and they were. In Ezekiel 36:20 through 24, it tells us that Israel will be regathered. May the 14th, 1948, Israel was regathered. It's beginning to happen. That's where it began. We've got a world over there, the Hamas against Israel today. The word Hamas means, in Hebrew, means violence. Violence. They're a violent people. They're a violent people. Ever since Obama was president, we've softened our view on Islam. And of course we have a very soft view on Islam today. from the present administration. Now you have to live with these people in the world. You have to live with them, no matter what they believe, no matter what religion. But it seems to be wherever Islam goes in the world, they cause destruction and rioting and murders. Because they will not obey the laws of the land. They want to be under Sharia law. And let me walk over here. They're going to pick up this book out. That didn't happen. Got stuff all over the floor now. This is Sharia law here. This is the law that the Muslim world demands that they go by, and that law only. And basically that law curses all other religions except Islam and tries to bring it into and under the control of Islam. The Islamic world is looking for end times like we're looking for end times. They're looking for a Mahdi to come. They're looking for the beast to come. Everything in the book of Revelation, Ezekiel, Daniel, and even here in Mark and Matthew the 24th chapter, everything that is good in the Bible is bad in Islam. Everything that is bad in the Bible is good in Islam. In other words, the Islamic people want to take the mark of the beast. And the beast is a creature that is described as unbelievable. The head of a ram, the body of a lion, the neck of a giraffe, the feet of the joints are 20 feet apart, the tail of a ram, and it's pretty outrageously descriptive of something that couldn't exist really, but maybe there will be something like that raised up at this period of time. And that ram, that beast is going to mark all of the true believers in him, in Islam. There will be a false Messiah arise out of the East, calling himself Isa or Jesus. It will be a false Jesus. Out of Damascus, according to their scriptures, will arise Amon, the Mahdi. The Mahdi will be a descendant of Muhammad, and he will have the spirit of Muhammad in him. And he will gather the world together. He will make a treaty, a Hudna treaty with Israel for 7 years. There's going to be a 7-year treaty here. All this stuff is really weird because here, everything in the Bible that is good is bad in Islam. Everything that's bad in the Bible is good in Islam. Now, also, what we might call the confession of faith in Islam is there is no God but Allah, and he has no companion. And Muhammad is his prophet, or his messenger, or his apostle. Now, it says that he has no companion. It means there is no Jesus Christ. There is no Son of God. And that's part of the confession, and that is a blasphemy. That's blasphemy, people. The whole Islamic confession of faith is blasphemy according to the Bible. But according to them, it's wonderful. That's what they start saying in the first words that a Muslim child ever hears is that. There is no God but Allah. He has no companion. Muhammad is his messenger. Now, we're going to make a 7-year treaty. Well, Muhammad made a treaty with Mecca. The treaty is there, the Hudna, is you make a treaty until you become strong enough where you can overtake the enemy. You make the treaty with them so they will let their guard down, so then you can come back and overtake them. That's a treaty. That's a temporary treaty. Now, as we read the rest of these scriptures that we're going to read here, during this tribulation period, there's going to be a temple built in Israel, in Jerusalem. There's going to be a temple built in Jerusalem. Today, the Jews are looking for they've got all of the tapestry of everything to go into that temple. They're going to reinitiate the sacrifices and all of that, and that's all blasphemy too. Because if you sacrifice an animal today to God, the ultimate sacrifice has already been made. It's slapping Jesus in the face. Because Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice. All of that pointed to Jesus. We're doing the book of Exodus right now. The atonement. We did the brazen laver. The looking glass. The laver. Made out of looking glasses. Judgment. The judgment of all of man's sins from Adam to this day and forevermore, long as men walk upon the face of the earth, was paid for by Jesus Christ. It's not efficacious but to only those that believe, but he died for all mankind. During this first 3.5 years, they're going to have sacrifices, they're going to have a temple, they're going to be very happy. Well, I'm going to tell you something, that temple is going to be the Antichrist temple. Israel's sake, they're looking for this temple. They want this temple. They want it up there on the mount. It's going to be built. But now in the middle of the tribulation period, maybe the Mahdi, some Antichrist, the Antichrist, maybe the Mahdi's the Antichrist. If Islam is right, if the people that have leftism and converted have become Christian converts, if they are correct, they believe that the Mahdi is going to be the Antichrist. They believe that. You can go listen to them all over the place. They believe what I'm telling you right now. And it says here, those that are in Judea, that's in the land of Israel, they flee, let them escape unto the mountains, If that mountain period of time is Petra, maybe that's where God's going to take care of his people. He's going to provide them. It says the armies of the Antichrist will come after them, and God will swallow up those armies. But the whole trigger to this is when the Antichrist stands in the temple and said, I am God, worship me. I am God, worship me. Now let's go back now to the book of Daniel. Daniel 9:27. Let's read a little bit further. Starting with verse number 24. 70 weeks of years, or 490 years, have been decreed for your people and for your holy city, Jerusalem, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make atonement, reconciliation for wickedness, to bring an everlasting and righteous right standing with God, to seal up the vision and prophecy and prophet, and to anoint the most holy place. So you're to know and understand that from the assurance of the command to restore and rebuild the temple of Jerusalem until the coming of Messiah, and this is telling them when the real Messiah is going to come. The anointed one, the prince, there will be 7 weeks of years, 62 weeks of years, and it will be built again, and the city, the plaza, and the moat, even in times of trouble. Now all this has been fulfilled. After the 62 weeks of years, the anointed one would be cut off. This happened. Jesus was killed. Psalm 22, Isaiah 53 tells you about this. These are not solo scriptures. And no one to defend him, and the people of the other prince will come, will destroy the city and the sanctuary, and its end will come with a flood. Now that happened also. A lot of times when the Bible talks about eschatology, it will run one thing in a series of times. So now let's go on. Even the end will be war, desolation, and determined. Isaiah 53, 7 through 9, Nahum 1 and 8, Matthew 24, 6 through 14. And he will enter into a binding and irrevocable covenant. The Antichrist will. Now, Islam says that their Mahdi is going to enter into a covenant with Israel, that is. Islam will enter a covenant with Israel, but in the middle of that covenant, he's going to kill them. He decides to kill all of them. For 1 week, 7 years, but in the middle of that week, he will stop the sacrifice and grain offering for the meaning of 3.5 years, right in the middle of it now. Here's the remaining three now. She's going to stop it now. And right up here, Revelation 13, 17. All of that. 12, 13, 17. And the offering remaining 3.5 years, and on the wing of abominations will come one who makes desolate. He's going to start destroying, this Antichrist is going to start destroying the city of Jerusalem. And those that believe God's word are going to leave there. And right here, at this meeting, Islam and the Jews are going to coexist here for a while. And the Jews are going to think everything's wonderful. But right in the middle of this now, they're going to find out something's wrong. Something's wrong. W-R-O-N-G, bad. Because the one that made the covenant with them is going to stand up in the temple and say that he is God. Will come who makes desolate, even until the complete desolation. One who is decreed is poured out on the one who causes the horror. Now, let's see here, 11 and verse 31. Daniel 11 and verse 31. Armed forces will arise, and he will raise in Jerusalem and defile and desecrate the sanctuary and the spiritual stronghold, and he will do away with the regular services and sacrifices, that is the daily burnt offering, and they will set up a pagan altar in the sanctuary, which is the abomination of desolation. There is no God but Allah. He has no companion. Muhammad is his messenger. How much more an abomination could that be in the face of God, the true God of the Bible? Elohim, Jehovah. With smooth words of flattery and praise, he will turn to godlessness those who are willing to disregard the Mosaic covenant. But the people who are spiritually mature know their God will display strength and take action to resist. Then, in Daniel, the 12th chapter, and verse number 11, and from the time that the regular sacrifice, that is the daily burnt offering, is taken away, and the abomination of desolation is set up, the ruining of the temple for the worship of the true God, there will be 1,290 days. Daniel 11 and verse 31. This is quite a deal. So there's going to be, in the end, there's going to be something that changes the mind of Israel. God is going to deal with them again. He has set them aside. He has cursed Israel out into the world. He has disciplined Israel for nearly 2,000 years. Then he brings them back into the land. Then right here at the middle of the tribulation period, the 3.5 years, they're going to see the abomination desolation take place. They're going to know that they're done for. They're done for. They're going to be killed. This is going to happen. And they're going to cry out to God for God to save them. Jesus said to them when he was there, and when he was right there looking down on Jerusalem, the abomination and desolation is going to take place over there one of these days. But before that happens, Rome is going to come and destroy that city and raze it down to the ground. The only one place left is, there was one building left there to show how great it was. That was the stronghold of the Roman soldiers. That one big building there. All of that city would be razed to the ground. But Israel, at that period of time, now, there's going to be a lot of people, Gentiles, saved during this period of time also. There are going to be 2 witnesses rise up. They're going to be killed there in that city. They're going to be dead for 3.5 days, and God's going to raise them up. All kinds of miraculous things. They're going to hear angels preaching the everlasting gospel flying through the air. They're going to see slaughter. They're going to see beheadings all over the world on televised beheadings of people. Mm-hmm. Who are the people that behead people today? Islam. Mm-hmm. Just look at all the things that are happening, and you might try to tie that together. In America today, the Islamic world is trying to force America to fight against Israel, basically to stand against Israel, to make them have a peace treaty, to cease fire over there. Israel was attacked. Hamas attacked Israel. Israel didn't attack Hamas. Now they're going to try to bring the war to an end. You can't win a war until you have devastated the enemy. When Israel started out, they said, we will not stop until Israel is annihilated, or until Hamas is annihilated. Hamas is a violent community. Hamas. Of course, George Bush Sr. said Islam was a peaceful religion. Jr. said Islam is a peaceful religion. It is not. Just study history. It's not a peaceful religion. You go ask any country in the world where they've rioted in those countries and they've taken over, no-go zones. Even in America. Is it a peaceful religion? No, it is not. No, it is not. They go and establish what we might call settlements. They have settlers come in and they take over complete areas. And they demand only to go by Sharia law. They will not be obedient to the Constitution of the United States. They will not swear on the Bible. They will not. America is a nation of immigrants in so many ways. I'm a Native American, so I'm not an immigrant. But some of my family were. I have a little bit of Scotch blood, a little tiny bit of Italian and French, but mostly American Indian. But some of my family came over as immigrants. But when they came here, they obeyed the laws. Islam will not. They will not. The nation of Israel will be born again in the middle of that week, of that tribulation period, the 3.5 years. They're going to be born again. They're going to wake up. God is the heart, the light shining in their hearts will be a heart of redemption. Then Israel will flee and God will protect them. And they will say, blessed and holy is he that came in the name of the Lord. That's Jesus in his first ministry. When they're going to die there and they're going to see so many of their people beheaded, they're going to see their women raped and pillaged, they're going to say, we were wrong. And they're going to weep for him as one weeps over an only son that has been killed. Abomination Desolation. Our Father, we send this message out today to hearers, to those that will hear, to those that will obey, to those that will see the things that are coming upon your earth here, to bring your people, Israel, back to you, that you may be glorified in them, and that they may rule this world for 1,000 years from Jerusalem. Please forgive me where I failed you. In Jesus' name.